Welcome back, YouTube pipe smokers. Muttnchop Piper here. Today's video is entitled Muttnchops Life Lessons. If you're not happy, make a change. Now, this video is pretty much for the younger pipe smokers we have out there, but it's pretty much for everybody. The first part of this video I'm going to kind of go through quickly because it's if I chronologically went through everything, it would take too long to explain. So let me get started. Okay, so when I got out of the Marine Corps, I had an 11-year-old son, a 13-year-old daughter, and a wife, and I needed a job. So my brother was in the business. You know, he knew a lot of industrial companies that could use a mechanic, so he hooked me up with one. And when I interviewed, they liked what they saw, and so they hired me. What I didn't know is when I showed up the first day of work, I didn't know that, one, it was a unionized shop, and there were, I guess, 2 people in line for the job that I took. But the company was looking for someone on the outside, someone that was new and didn't have any idea of, you know, how an industrial setting and everything. So that's why they hired me. So when I showed up the first day, I found it hard to transition. In the Marine Corps, everything is regimented. Everything is by the book. You do it a certain way, and that's the only way. Working in a factory on industrial machines, everything is you fix it by, you know, fix it from the hip. You get out there, you diagnose what's wrong, you fix it without manuals or books or anything, which I wasn't used to. So I asked the guys that were there if they would give me a hand trying to learn these machines. And the tool and die maker that was there, he said, this is exactly what he said, and it took an hour of being there when he said this. He said, "Hey man, I wouldn't get used to working here because you stole the job from 2 other people that wanted it, and once they put in their grievance with the union, you're probably not going to be working here." So that was the first hour I was there, and I was like, okay, now what? You know, am I going to be fired and have to go, hunt for another job? But the company had gotten with the union before this and explained to them what they wanted, and the union was on board. So I was in no threat of being fired. I didn't know that at the time. But to move on, so I was with this company for 12 years, and I ended up having to learn everything pretty much on my own. I would go out to a machine when it was broke, and I would look and diagnose, and within 5 years, I pretty much knew every machine that was there and how to work on it without their help. I'm the type of person, if you don't know me, that I don't like standing around. I want something to do, especially when I'm at work. So I took on extra tasks. Now, these things I'm going to tell you that I know how to do, I learned on my own, and I'm not telling you this to brag on myself. I'm just telling you the things that this is how I am. So at the 12-year mark, I knew how to work on any machine that was in there, in the plant. I could run Cat5 cable. I could work on computers. I was in charge of the credit card that would purchase all the pieces and parts that we needed. I had my own account that I had to rectify at the end of the month. I knew how to weld. I knew how to I did a little bit of tool and die work, and I just enjoyed working, unlike my compatriots who would rather stand around and talk about baseball or fishing or hunting, stuff like that. People on the floor when I first started there were sullied by the maintenance people, telling them that I had stolen somebody's job and that I shouldn't like them. And I got dirty looks, I got comments, but I just kept on going. And then by the end of the 12 years, it had reversed because they saw the difference. They saw that, I'll give you an example, somebody would come off the floor with a problem, and they'd go to the other maintenance guy, and they'd say, hey, can you come out and take a look at this? And this guy would absolutely explode on them. Call them names, cuss at them, tell them how screwed up they were, just because he had to go out and work on a machine. Well, they'd come to me, and I'd say, yeah, let's go out and take a look and see what we can find. And they'd do it, and I'd say, oh yeah, this is easy, I'll fix this for you. And I'd fix it, and I'd wait for them to work it 2 or 3 times, and I said, okay, it looks like it's good to me. He goes, yeah, it's good. I said, okay, if you got any more problems, just come let me know. So let me ask you, which would you rather do coming off the floor if you've got a problem? Would you rather go to the guy that cusses you out, or the guy that says, hey, let's go take a look and see what we can find? That's right. 90% of the time, they would come looking for me. And there would be times where I would be just getting off a machine I'd been working on for 2 hours, grease all over me. I was wore out, and they'd say, Chris, can you come take a look at this? I know you've been out working, but I really need you to take a look at it. There were times where I was on the edge of saying, man, can't you see I just been out on the floor? But I didn't. I said, yeah, just give me some time to get my tools put away, clean up a little bit, and I'll be right out there. So it weighed on me. It started to wear me down, because seeing them making the exact same money I was, standing around talking all day long, or screaming at somebody if they came to get them to go work on something. Every time I'd have to go work on something, I mean, these big, huge, heavy dies that I needed help with, they refused to come out. Those 3 would go out and work on stuff, and I'd show up to help them, and they'd say, hey, why don't you just go somewhere else? I think there's another machine needs to be worked on. They didn't want to have anything to do with me. And honestly, I'm telling you, I did nothing to them. Didn't badmouth them, even when they treated me like that, I didn't go out on the floor and say, those sons of so-and-sos, they're this and that. I just said, well, I'll just do my best. So at the 12-year mark, we started to get more orders to where we had to start working weekends. And it kept getting more and more and more. Now this job, I was making $23 an hour. That's good money. Time and a half on weekends. That's okay. I don't mind working weekends. But I worked 6 months straight on the weekend, working through the week and on the week. And the reason why is because I was the lowest man I had the lowest seniority. So they all got together and made it a point to say, hey, we'll just say we're not working and make him work. I went to management and said, look, can you do something? I haven't had a weekend off in a month. No, that's just the way it is, And it wore me down. So I got with my wife and I said, look, I can't take this anymore. I'm working 7 days straight. I can't. I was making tons of money. But I said, I cannot live this way. She goes, look, if you look at our finances and you think that we can manage it, then quit. Do something else. At the time, my daughter and my son had graduated and left the house. It was just me and my wife. So I went. I had just had it. So in November of 2011, I went to him. I said, look, I'm done. I just want to tell you I'm giving my 2-week notice, and I'm going to be retiring. Well, they freaked out. They said, no, wait, can't we do something? I said, no, I asked you to do something. I asked you to help me. I said, I'm working every weekend because I'm the lowest seniority. I asked you to help. You said no. The people in the shop don't talk to me. They don't help me. I asked you to help. There's nothing you can do. So I'm tired of it. I've had it. I'm leaving. So I ended up leaving. They tried to get me to stay. They tried to get people on the floor to come and convince me to stay. But to no avail. I'm unhappy. I'm not even making that much money. I was not happy in my life. I was miserable. So I left. I laid out a year, and then I found another position that I liked much better. No weekends. I worked 7 to 4:30 every day. Absolutely no weekend work. I wasn't making as nearly the amount of money I was making, but I had my weekends off to spend with my wife, to do videos, to do whatever I wanted to do. And I was much happier. So, what is the point of this video? Now, before I continue, I want to stress this one point. I am not telling you that you should go in tomorrow and quit your job, or that you should do this or you should do that. You have got to look at your own life. Look at your finances. Look at your debt. Look at the things that would be affected if you decided to make a change. If you go through all that and you are as miserable as I was, then making a change might be the right thing for you. It depends on what makes you happy. And the one thing that I have to stress is, like anything else, is happiness is a part of life. At least it's important to my life. I've got to live a life where things that I do and people that I meet and they give me some joy. They make me happy in life. Pipe smoking is a part of that. It gives me joy. It gives me it relaxes me. I enjoy the fact that I pipe smoke or smoke a pipe. So if someone told me one day that I could never do that again, then yes, it would make me unhappy. But you have to have some happiness in your life. If you're absolutely miserable with your life, take a look and see what you can do to change it, to make yourself happy. That's what I did. I hated giving up that job, but I'm not going to live my life being unhappy. I'm just not going to do it. So if you're in the same situation, or you're in a situation a lot like mine, then look at the situation and figure out a way that you can change it to where it makes you more happy to do what it is you're doing. One side note, when I left, the day I left on a Friday, that Monday, because the other mechanics didn't do anything, I was pretty much the one that went out and worked on everything. When machines started breaking down, a friend of mine that was working there said he had the hardest week of his life, the other mechanic that was there, because everything that broke down, I wasn't there to go work on it. He had to go work on it. And every time he'd go work on something, it was funny because he told me this. He said every time he went to work on something and he started cussing somebody out, all they would say is, well, if you treated Chris better, he'd be here working on it, not you. You'd go to the next thing. Well, if you treated Chris better, he'd be working on it, not you. And he said that he had the worst week. Now, you see a smile on my face. I don't wish that for anyone. But by him not realizing that if they'd at least talked to me or helped me or treated me like an equal around them, I'd still be there. I'd still be working on them machines. But all of a sudden now he's got to work on all these machines that I was working on because he had somebody that was going and doing the work and he didn't have to. Now he has to do the work because I'm not there. So my point is, happiness is a part of life that you need. You cannot live your life without some form of happiness. And if you're not getting that, you need to figure out why and make a change. I hope you enjoyed the video and I hope you learned something. Until my next video, I want to wish you and your family happy piping.